Businessman and author Scott Galloway is proposing a nationwide strike on the U.S. economy as a means of stopping ICE.
Galloway put forth the idea on his podcast, which he hosts with journalist Kara Swisher. He said he believes this is the fastest way to get the Trump administration's attention and to get real changes into motion. Let's take a look.
Trump does not respond to outrage. He responds to markets. And that's not cynicism. It's mechanics. I'm not talking about a labor strike. This isn't unions, picket lines, or collective bargaining. I'm talking about something quieter, far more unsettling to the system, and that is an economic strike. A short-term coordinated withdrawal from spending and maybe work. No marching, no slogans, just less. And
well,
something we forget.
They did that in Minnesota. They had a day. The business is closed.
It can't be a day. A day is annoyance. It needs to be a week or a month, and it needs to be national.
These people. Galloway also says he's trying to get other public figures and even some politicians on board with the strike. His proposal was not received very well online. Political consultant Ryan Drudusky wrote, Scott Galloway should make his credit card receipts transparent, show us that he and none of his children are spending any money on anything, no more business transactions, no takeout orders, no flights. These sanctimonious liberals want you to do what they never will. And lawyer Adam Lowy says, so the wealthy academic thinks the best approach is to hammer small business with an economic strike over this.
But Galloway is not the only one thinking along these lines. Actor Edward Norton echoed his comments in an interview with the LA Times. Let's take a look.
We cannot act like this is not happening. And I think I think what they're doing in Minnesota with the strike needs to expand. I think we should be talking about a national general economic strike until this is over and stopped.
Last Friday, hundreds of businesses shut down for the day in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and thousands of people gathered in the streets to protest ICE. But as you heard both of them say, both Galloway and Norton feel that the economic strike needs to go on for longer. It needs to be nationwide to have the biggest impact possible.
You know,
you love this.
I agree, Lindsay. It's time for a strike, and I think Scott Galloway should lead the pack. I think he should refrain from economic activity so he could stop talking on the 18 podcasts he does. I know I'm throwing stones at glass houses here,
podcasts.
But I hope I'm not as annoying as Scott Galloway is. I don't see how anyone on earth could exceed that bar. And Kara Swisher, I despise. This is like the one person I might dislike more than Kara Swisher is Scott Galloway. He should go on strike, and no more words out of his mouth stops moving until we have world peace. I agree.
Well, strikes are effective, Robbie. I mean, recent history tells us the UAW strike, that was in 2023, the auto workers, that secured significant pay increase for those auto workers, so that worked. But that's one type of strike.
That's a little different.
I know, that's one example.
Labor strike against management for a specific demand.
It works. It worked with UPS.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But I think
it's a thing.
They have a key point that the economy is supposed to be the businessman in chief's number one concern. And so political power is tied to economic performance. We know that after Target decided to cut DEI programs, a lot of people of color decided, I don't know if you've been aware of this, to stop shopping at Target altogether. And guess what? It's genuinely affected Target. Since 2021, their stock is down 51%. Their CEO that was there for... No, but it is part of the reason. CEO who's been there for 11 years is stepping down next month in a couple of days in 2026 because of how bad the company's doing. So yes,
start shopping at Target anymore?
No, I don't think so. People were shopping at it just fine right after, around the pandemic. It's dropped dramatically, and there's been a widespread call to stop shopping at Target. I have people that are friends that are black that are like, where else can I get this?
Well, but if you go woke,
I'm just telling you, people
can go broke because then conservatives stop shopping there. The decision for non-political businesses to become political either way. I would argue
conservatives tried to shut down Budweiser, right? And that was a fail. I think Budweiser is doing
failed?
just fine.
It tanked their sales for years.
For years, Budweiser's doing just fine. I like to see the numbers on that. I think Budweiser's not doing as bad as Target. Did their CEO step down? Did their stock drop 50%? This is what I want to know the numbers.
Dropped massively.
For the day? Consistently?
No, for months. I swear to God, I was at the airport maybe a year ago. Not airport in D.C., flying back from visiting family, and I was sitting at the bar before my flight, and I'm not a beer drinker. I ordered a cocktail, but the bartender said he had a Bud Light was one of the beer choices. That no one will drink it because of that commercial. No one, not a single person. So it impacted
well, the case
sales.
study by one person, fine, we'll accept it. But I'm just saying.
I think generally boycotts don't work. Of these broad kind of customer-based boycotts, like the kind of thing that Scott Galloway is calling for, are not generally successful tactics and don't motivate corporate behavior or especially are not going to motivate government behavior. The way to object to government behavior is to vote for the other guy. It's not a strike or a boycott. It's an election comes around and you vote for the other team. That is what motivates political behavior.
There are a lot of
general striking.
There's a lot of big national businesses that will give President Trump money because he has amenable policies that they would appreciate if he puts forth. And so it's kind of like this give and take. We know how politics works. But if you have a consumer base that actually uses the product or buys the product that's telling you, we don't like what you're doing, don't keep on cozying up to President Trump, we're pulling money away. Well, who speaks louder? Does the president's policy speak louder or the people who stop buying your stuff speak louder?
But that doesn't work because half the country, they do want everyone to cozy up to Trump. We're a closely divided nation. He won the popular vote.
In regards
more
to
people
ICE,
voted for Trump than voted for Democrats.
In regards to the handling of ICE, we're seeing more people not appreciating what's going on over there.
That's
the
true.
Quinnipiac poll that I referenced. Well, that's what these people are on the podcast talking about, specifically in Minnesota. Companies that are based in Minnesota that support Trump's policies in any way. Let's look at those, boycott those. That's the nationwide boycott that I would recommend. These small local businesses, I think that they should not catch the brunt of any pressure that ICE has brought to the city. That's kind of silly. But national companies that have given tons of money to President Trump and push forth these endeavors and initiatives, you can look at those people.
Don't you think there's something a little hypocritical about wealthy people? And I'll put Edward Norton in this category too. By the way, again, separating art and artist, I think Edward Norton is a terrific actor. I love every movie he's ever been in. When I see he's in a movie, I automatically want to watch that movie. I think he's great. Totally disagree with him here. Is there not something hypocritical about wealthy celebrity type? Scott Galloway is very wealthy too. Does like TED Talk type guy and podcast and books and everything. These people saying you should refrain from economic activity, but they're first class in I don't know exactly what the situation is. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. If you're telling people,
I don't know specifically.
Don't shop here, I would assume that you're not shopping there, right? But it's also hard because when you look at all the organizations that you would need to boycott that have aligned themselves in some way with President Trump, well, the people, to my friends that have decided to boycott Target, I'm also like, well, you need to boycott Amazon. So don't order none of your stuff. Or you need to, and it's like we can go down the list. So why, it's almost like picking on Target, but that's the one they picked. And when you have an organized group that say we're going with this company, people just fall in line that want to be effective.
Silly. Let's say I stop at Panera for lunch, and then I go, okay, what are all the statements Panera's ever made, and what are all the political spendings of the CEO, and what is it? That's just so exhausting, and I don't know who wants to live like that.
I mean, people don't have a right to spend their money where they're
course.
Appreciated and celebrated, not tolerated.
If I was only associating myself the economy is so intertwined. Where does Panera get its bread from? Does the company that manufactures the bread have all? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At some point, we'll all have to be autarkists and just assemble everything ourselves, which we can't even do because the tools to assemble things is equipment that was built by someone who has political views. I think this ends up getting very silly very fast, in my view.
We'll see what happens.
People can do whatever they want. Feel good.
We'll be looking out for these strikes. I mean, who's going to call it and bring it all to culmination? We'd like to see who's going to spearhead this whole thing.
Yeah.
We have a lot more to talk about on Rising. Stay with us.